Good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight with me, Annabelle Tiffin. Our top story: thousands without power, 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts and a major incident declared. Storm Eowyn batters the region. Travel has also been affected and there are warnings of more bad weather at the weekend. Also tonight, Southport's road to recovery, reflections on a harrowing week for a place and its people.
It's Up North News. Maybe they've heard about our Norbot. Oh, this'll be great for publicity.
And now, Up North News, presented by Anton Deck.
Cracking news for Wallace and Gromit. Their latest adventure earns an Oscar nomination for their creator, Preston's Nick Park. Old Trafford troubles, a win on the pitch for Manchester United, but the problems off it pile up. Get ready for the Planet Parade. 6 line up brightly in our skies this weekend, and they'll be joined by a special guest.
And you can see the aftermath of Storm Eowyn. It's brought down trees in Liverpool, but the good news is it's continuing to clear and the winds will ease as we head through the evening and overnight. Join me at the end of the programme. I'll give you all the details.
Storm Eowyn is battering the region today with more bad weather forecast. The Isle of Man has been hit hardest, with wind gusts reaching more than 100 miles per hour in some places. The island has now declared a major incident, as Ashley Tracy reports from Douglas.
The Isle of Man woke up to a red weather warning and the winds of Storm Eowyn battering the coastline. People were told to stay home, to stay safe, schools closed and there were no flights or ferries. Homes lost power and there were reports of flying debris. People in Peel were urged to steer clear of this power station due to damage to its stack. Winds of 81 miles an hour were recorded at the airport, the highest in 20 years, with gusts of more than 107 miles an hour logged at Snaefell.
The strongest wind speeds we've seen today have been in the north and along the western coast of the island. However, they have been exceptionally strong everywhere. There has been a major amount of damage, particularly trees, but some structural damage as well.
As the morning progressed, a major incident was declared because of the number of trees coming down, blocking the roads.
And so we were getting an increasing number of reports into Ellerslie, and we only have so many crews that we can send out. At that point, when we declare a major incident, that allows us to prioritise keeping the main arterial routes open, which is important for emergency services access. And we didn't want part of the island to be effectively cut off. I'm really grateful that the Met Office managed to assess the data and advise the strategic weather group so well so that we could get early warnings out to people and make early decisions about what services were going to be shut down. And I really do want to thank everyone, because the roads have been pretty empty today. And that's important because keeping people off the roads was one of our ways of reducing the risks of somebody getting seriously hurt.
During the red weather warning period, which lasted until 2 o'clock, police said there were more than 100 incidents reported, and at one point, more than 30 roads across the island were closed.
People are still being urged to take care in the winds, but as the storm moves past the island, the attentions will now turn to the clean-up operation. Ashley Tracy, BBC North West Tonight, the Isle of Man.
Well, Ashley has just updated us, actually, and that major incident that we mentioned there has now been removed because gusts have eased, and Kay will be here with a forecast at the end of the bulletin. But that is the situation on the Isle of Man at the moment. But the storm has hit most of our region, causing problems on the roads, with trains and at airports, and there has been damage to homes. Well, Anna Jameson is on a very blowy Blackpool seafront for us this evening. Anna, it's looking pretty blowy there.
It is. I tell you what, Annabelle, this is a great core workout. Who needs Pilates? You just need to come to the Blackpool front. We can certainly feel Storm Eowyn coming in from the Irish Sea. Flights have been cancelled to the Isle of Man and to Ireland and Belfast today from Liverpool and Manchester. It's been a pretty treacherous day across the northwest and here in Blackpool, where I've spent the day.
Shiver me timbers. Gusts reached 80 miles per hour today in Blackpool. Sod's law for those on holiday.
Paul, where are you from?
Glasgow. We left thinking we'd get away from the wind, but my mouth's full of sand. I needed some shopping, I needed my Sunday dinner food, so I had to come and get me local bits. I'm indoors tonight cooking my Sunday dinner. Salt and pepper chicken.
Good job, man, not holding on to me. Please, I'd have been blown away.
Trams were cancelled, businesses shut. Council staff were evacuated after this roof came loose. And it wasn't the only place to batten down the hatches. Look as this pilot of boats landing in Liverpool. Lorries toppled over on the M6 in Cumbria. Further south, it was more of the same. All rail services stopped north of Preston.
It's not happening at all. It's not happening, so it's tomorrow morning, I'm afraid, and look for accommodation in Preston tonight. Nothing else to be done.
So we have had a number of trees on the line at Birchwood and also in the Hazel Grove area and most recently in the Bamber Bridge area, which are obviously having an impact on services in and around the network. Moving into Cumbria, we've also got instances of debris on tracks.
And it's been all hands on deck to get power back to homes.
We've now restored power to over 39,500 customers. We still have 20,000 customers off supply, but we continue to work on those faults only when it continues to be safe to do so, though, with the winds continuing as the afternoon has gone on.
Rail networks are warning there could be disruption throughout the weekend. For Paul, it means he'll have to stay another night.
It's brilliant, I love it. But
You just like seeing the English in dismay, don't you?
Ah, well, it needs to happen sometime. we had it for long enough.
And for us all, the message is to stay safe.
Well, that is the message indeed. I tell you what, it must be bad in Blackpool because I haven't seen one stag or hen night on a Friday night. What is going on? We've got the full weather forecast from Kay at the end of the programme. And Annabelle, I'm jealous of you in your warm, cosy studio, in your ivory tower.
Yeah. I'm not jealous of you in the slightest, Anna, at all. Do stay safe, though. Heed your own warning. Thank you, Anna. Right, let's get a roundup of some of today's other news now. And Wirral Council is writing to the government supporting a campaign for a government apology over the historic practice of burying stillborn babies in communal graves without informing their families. A recent report revealed that 1,200 stillborn babies were buried in unmarked graves in Wirral between 1935 and 1981. A court has heard that the former footballer Joey Barton pushed his wife to the floor before kicking her during a drunken row. Prosecutors say Georgia Barton was left with a lump on her forehead and a bleeding nose. Joey Barton denies assaulting his wife and the trial continues. People who had to leave their flats because of flooding in Stockport have now moved back in after almost a month. Meadow Mill had to be evacuated when the nearby River Tame burst its banks on New Year's Day. Well, we're going to reflect now on a distressing and significant week for the people of Southport, especially for the families of the girls who were killed and injured in that dreadful knife attack last July. Axel Rudakabana is unlikely to ever be released, even though the judge couldn't, by law, jail him for the rest of his life. Well, our Merseyside reporter Andy Gill has covered this story from day one. He joins me now, and, you know, Andy, we're going to talk about personal reflections in a moment, but what are the latest developments today?
A number of developments, Annabelle. First of all, for the first time, Alder Children's Hospital in Liverpool has confirmed that Rudakabana was under their care, including under its community mental health service. But they've said he stopped engaging with the service in February 2023, despite continued efforts or offers of support. And the hospital has said that they will fully cooperate with any public inquiry into this case. Also had some very touching tributes today from the schools of the three girls who were killed in that attack. First of all, Elsie Stankam's school, Farnborough Road Infants in Southport, said Elsie was adored by her friends and known by everyone in the school due to the sparkle in her eyes, her infectious energy, caring nature and charismatic personality. In tribute to B.B. King, Marshside Primary School said, "We grieve her loss every single day and will remember her with nothing but happy and fond memories. We will never associate her loss with this unthinkable act." And the head of Alice da Silva Aguiar School, that's Churchtown Primary, said Alice was joy embodied. As a school, we're committed to wrapping our arms around you and the entire community as we walk this path of grief and recovery together.
Very, very touching tributes there. We heard last night, didn't we, from the local MP, Patrick Hurley, the local MP for Southport, that the 52-year minimum sentence that was given to Rudika Bana isn't long enough. So what happens now?
Well, he's referred it to the Attorney General. So the Attorney General and the Solicitor General are obliged to have a look at it. They have 28 days to do that. But they have to decide not just if 52 years is too short, but whether it's unduly short. That's the way the rules work. But as you say, the local MP has told the BBC that he thinks even at 52 years, it should have been longer.
And I think in circumstances such as this, exceptional circumstances, we need to have the ability to have exceptional sentences being placed. And I would urge the government and the Attorney General to look again to see what can be done in these exceptional circumstances in order to make sure that a whole life tariff could be imposed.
And the Home Secretary announced there would be a public inquiry. Have we any news on when that may start?
Well, today the spokesman for the Prime Minister at Number 10 was asked about this, and they said they'll move as quickly as time allows. The first step, they said, would be to liaise with the families to ensure that this investigation is comprehensive. So we won't get a timeline until the families and the coroner have been consulted. I suspect that'll take a few weeks.
I mentioned before that you have covered this story from the day that it all happened. And we don't usually talk about our own emotions in this, but I imagine it must have affected you.
Well, I've been a reporter for a very long time. I've covered a lot of high-profile and distressing cases. And you have to be able to take a step back, otherwise we couldn't do this job. But sitting in that courtroom in Liverpool yesterday, there were a couple of occasions when I did become upset and I had my head in my hands. The CCTV of the girls running, screaming from the venue, and the details of some of the injuries the girls had, which we have not reported, and I've not even spoken about with colleagues, because if you don't know, then you really don't need to know. I've covered a lot of cases like this, as I said. These were the worst details that I've ever had to listen to. And I have to confess, it did affect me.
I'm not surprised at all. You were also struck, I know, by Rudika Bana's disruptive behaviour when he was in the dock yesterday.
That really stood out for me. And apart from when he pleaded guilty on Monday in a very quiet voice to all the 16 charges, we hadn't heard from him. He was silent, refused to speak in court. But yesterday, when he was facing the reckoning for what he'd done, described by his own barrister as wickedness, suddenly he was speaking in a loud voice, saying, "Please don't continue. I'm ill, I've got chest pains, please don't ignore me." So at that moment, facing the punishment, he suddenly found his voice. And I thought that was very telling.
Indeed. Andy, thank you very much indeed. Now, from slogans to memorable characters and catchphrases, cracking cheese, of course, we're talking about Wallace and Gromit and their latest adventure, Vengeance Most Foul, which has not only smashed viewing figures over Christmas, but has now also picked up an Oscar nomination. The creator, Nick Park, is from Preston and says he can't quite believe the success, as Zoe Toast reports.
Outside the West Wallaby Street house of the evil inventor, Mr. Wallace.
Evil?
One of Lancashire's most famous duos are back.
Come here.
And their latest adventure, Vengeance Most Foul, has been nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Feature.
Ecstatic, really. You can't get used to it. It's a great reflection on our amazing team of animators and all the talented, director of photography and everything that's gone into the music, everything that's gone into the film.
Created by Preston-born Nick Park, the film has been watched by over 21 million people, making it the biggest animated UK show since records began in 2002. From plotting penguins to very questionable gnomes, it's become a staple of British storytelling.
the secret behind Wallace and Gromit's the humour is that you fill in a lot yourself. Nick kind of really struck gold back when he created Wallace and Gromit, and I'm delighted as a fan myself that they're alive and kicking.
The fact that it's very much about the clay models and the stop motion animation. It's a very old technique, but I think it brings with it a kind of humour and a kind of humanity, really.
The Aardman animation team will be hoping this could be their 4th Oscar award, 3 of those wins from previous Wallace and Gromit films.
Walking into Aardman every day is just a privilege because you're surrounded by this powerhouse of creativity. For animators to be there, for animation people to be there, you can't help but think, what am I doing here?
See how embracing technology makes our life better?
And if they win, well, that would be cracking.
Oh, thank you very much.
Zoe Toes, BBC Northwest Tonight.
So that was a Christmas highlight, that and Gavin and Stacey. Absolutely brilliant. Right, we're going to move on to sport now. Richard is here. Manchester United, they had a win on the pitch last night, didn't they, in the Europa League? But, elsewhere, off the pitch, some fans, perhaps rightly, are concerned about the direction of the club.
There's a lot to talk about, Annabelle. As you say, United, late winner, beating Rangers by 2-1, but there was fighting in the stadium between rival sets of supporters, and as well as asking questions about how that could happen, fans are also talking about things like they're worried about cost-cutting, redundancies, and also rising ticket prices as well. So a lot for them to talk about, perhaps worry about. And it's clear that, in the Stretford end, it's not only United's poor Premier League form that is the talk amongst the fans.
I think it was fair for us to win a game. The pace of the game helped us because it's different and you can feel it.
It's factory and at times unsavoury night at Old Trafford. There was fighting before and during the game and 39 arrests, with a large number of away supporters in home ends. In a statement, Manchester United said all examples of away fans in home areas will be investigated over the coming days, with the strongest possible sanctions taken against the registered holders.
I saw it near me where I stand. There was a few Rangers fans in there and it turned violent. The club have got to put the foot down, they've got to investigate it, which I think they're saying they're doing, but they've got to stop it happening again. We were here a year ago, whenever it was, talking about it with Galatasaray fans in the United.
About cost-cutting measures since Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe took charge of football operations a year ago, including 250 staff redundancies and raising matchday ticket prices to £66 with no concessions, amongst measures aimed at reducing an annual loss of £113.2 million.
I was a bit shocked, to be fair. I don't think them coming in, I didn't really think that was going to happen.
Got to get it right on the pitch. What they're paying out, what they're saving on the nitpicking they're doing. It's ridiculous.
Some United supporters have taken part in protests about rising ticket prices.
Some of these decisions don't seem to generate the kind of revenue or the kind of improvement financially that you'd want anyway. I think one of the ideas around Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in was that he was this local boy, this United fan, he understood the culture of the club, he got it, and he's not making decisions that seem to indicate that in a minute. A little bit of what makes Manchester United special, it seems to have been lost somewhat.
Two supporters groups, the 1958 and the Fan Coalition 58, have written to Manchester United that tickets do remain affordable to fans. They go on to say, though, that the club's losses aren't sustainable, particularly if they're going to remain within financial fair play rules and remain competitive on the pitch.
Manchester United travel to Fulham in the Premier League on Sunday evening, with our 3 other top-flight sides in action tomorrow. Leaders Liverpool are at home to Ipswich. Manchester City welcome Chelsea.
The basis there is if we can try and be hard to beat, hard to play against. But obviously, what we want to do is we've just started to do is create more chances, give ourselves more chances of winning the game by the opportunities.
In rugby union, Sale Sharks face league leaders Bath on Sunday, boosted by key players signing new deals, with the latest to put pen to paper, Scotland international Aaron Reid, who's committed his future to the club for a further 3 years. Aaron, an academy graduate, has scored 36 tries in 120 appearances for the Sharks. And in Rugby League, defending Super League champions Wigan Warriors' talismanic skipper Liam Farrell has signed a 2-year extension with his boyhood club until the end of the 2027 season. Liam led Wigan to an unprecedented quadruple, you'll probably know, last season. Great news for the Warriors. Best of luck, by the way, to all of our Rugby League teams in round 2 of the Challenge Cup. That's all you sport.
Richard, thank you very much. Kay's here, and you're going to be giving us quite a lengthy forecast at the end of the programme because we've got loads to talk about, haven't we, with the storm. But as I was coming into the studio this evening, there were a couple of people, excitedly, you included, going, oh, I can see Venus.
Venus is in the sky right now.
So if you just look out the window, you can see it?
Yeah, I mean, I look to the west, out of the office window, and it's a bright star. Well, it's not a star, it's a planet, but it looks like a really, really bright star in the sky. It's amazing.
But you knew which one it was?
Of course I did, because I knew everything about the sky. That's not necessarily true, I'm afraid, Annabelle. But thankfully, I found a man, Tim, who knows all about the planets and the parade that's happening tonight.
Whether you're a stargazer or not, you may well have heard about something called Planet Parade. It's a moment in time when some of the planets are all aligned in the sky. But is it true? One thing's for sure, we will need a clear night to see them, and you know, that I can help you with. But finding out more, how rare is it? I feel like we need to go and find a man who knows what he's talking about. Let's go. Tim, thank goodness. Help me. This Planet Parade, what's going on?
Well, it's quite a nice thing to look out for, I would say. It's basically 6 planets visible in the night sky, 4 of them really bright and really quite obvious. 2 of them you'll need a telescope or binoculars to see.
Is that a rare thing?
Well, it's the planets orbit the sun. In fact, we've got this thing above us actually shows us how the planets orbit the sun. And so what you need is for them all to be sort of on the same side of the sun as we look. So we're looking out, the sun's set, and then sort of arrayed across the sky in a line. You've got these planets all sort of reflecting light from the sun, looking quite nice.
We do need a clear night to be able to see these.
Yeah.
I'll do my best on that part. But for us in the northwest, where is the best place to be? Literally, coming out in your garden, what's the best thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you can see them probably from anywhere. Light pollution's not much of a problem for these brighter planets. You want to start with where the sun went down, so in the west. There's a really obvious bright star-like thing in the sky, and that's Venus. Down directly below it, there's what looks like a rather fainter star. That's actually the planet Saturn. And then if you sort of start from there and you swing round across to your left, so through the south, high up, more towards the south, another really bright object, looks a bit like a star, but that's the planet Jupiter. And then following on a bit more round to carrying on turning left round towards the east now, and a bit lower down you'll see another bright star. Looks like a star, it's actually a planet. It'll look red, and that's the planet Mars.
Truly is a party in the sky.
Yeah, it's great fun looking at the sky.
It's incredible, and you can already see some of those planets in the sky. And one thing that you didn't hear Tim mention just then was actually, now let me look at the clock, it's just gone 5 to 7, so at 21 minutes past 7, I'll wrap up quickly, you get out, you could see the International Space Station. It's only going to be in the sky for 2 minutes, and listen, who knew? Probably you did, but I didn't. There are 7 people in there. So Tim said, make sure you get out and give them a wave. It truly is a light spectacular in the sky in the northwest tonight and across all parts. Amazing. Thank you so much for Tim and all at Jodrell Bank. And thank you for sending in your photos. Now, obviously, we have seen some stormy photographs, but I thought, you know what? Let's focus on the positive because we did have beautiful blue skies. Look at this photograph in. B. Poole sent it from St Anne's on the Sea. Thank you for sending that in. So yes, it has been incredibly windy. We've had gusts of up to and above 85 miles per hour. Now, the winds are going to continue to ease. It's going to be a chilly day tomorrow, but a good deal of sunshine. Wintry showers expected then, mainly over the hills overnight into Sunday. and another storm is on its way. This one named by the Spanish Met Office, not us, but we do have warnings in force. More on that in a minute. You can see a storm has cleared off to the north. We've got this occluded front that's coming through Saturday into Sunday. That's likely to bring wintry showers, and here's the next feature pushing up. But as we go through tonight, well, we have got a little bit of cloud pushing up from the south, the odd wintry flurry, but that clears through. And then for the most, it's going to be a dry night overnight. Now, look at the gusts. We're talking 25 miles per hour, give or take, from Manchester. On the Isle of Man, we're still around 45, but a lot lighter than it has been. Temperatures are dropping down to about freezing or below, so watch out for ice where you've had any showers overnight. And there will be few and far between, but it will be a chilly start to the day. Dry and bright, the winds continue to ease. Actually, quite a pleasant day. Temperatures, though, not doing too great, below average for the time of year. 4 to 6 degrees. And you can just see on the Isle of Man, we're starting to pull in some cloud. That's associated with the front. But again, another clear night for most of us. So again, another chance to see that planet parade. Before that front comes through, it'll go through quite quickly. Fine to start Sunday. Here's that next area of low pressure. Now, you can see it's very similar to what we've had with the impact being around Northern Ireland. But for us, we're on the southern flank once again, which means the winds will increase as it pushes through. So expecting windier conditions to develop through Sunday evening. And because of that, we've already got a warning in force. Now, really through Sunday morning, this probably will be extended. Gusts of up to 50 to 70 miles per hour. So not as strong as we've had, but it still will be a very gusty day. And add to that, given the ground is saturated, we are looking at some heavy downpours of rain. So around the middle of Sunday, that clears through, and then Sunday night into Monday, heavy downpours of rain. It stays unsettled then as we start your next working week. Another area of low pressure to come through Tuesday, remaining unsettled, highs of 8 degrees. That's your forecast.
There doesn't seem to be a let-up, does there? We get rid of the strong winds and then we have rain.
We're really doing this at the minute. It's all thanks to the jet stream, or not thanks to the jet stream.
No thanks to the jet stream. But tonight, because it's nice and bright, we can go out there and see at 21 minutes past 7.
Oh, Rosemary Berry's already messaged to say she's going. Good luck. Send me pictures.
Rosemary. Bye-bye.